Hello YouTube, this is SKillous, and in my patch note video I was talking about Cannon Rush potentially being a little bit too strong. That's why today I prepared a very special video for you, where you have two players playing against each other. First player is a laser, playing as Clockwork, and the second one is probably the best Cannon Rusher in the world at the moment. It's Bonan. He's already opening up with a Forge, as you can see, so we will be able to properly test out the changes. At least I hope so. We will be able to see if it became stronger, if it stayed about the same. Because for me it's a little bit hard to figure, because I'll be honest, I'm a terrible Cannon Rusher. I really don't know how to do it properly. And every time I try to do it for fun, every time I just lose, because there is always something, like a very tiny small detail that's gonna go wrong, you know? Because yes, like if you think about Cannon Rush, it kind of feels like a very easy thing to do, right? Like you just kind of put the cannons, you put some cannons, you win the game. But in fact, there are so many things that can just simply go wrong. Like your opponent can go for some response that you've never seen, or you might miss something on the map and don't respond perfectly. And also every single micro mistake is pretty much game ending. So that's why we had to summon a real pro in Cannon Rush and not myself. I tried to play some games against a laser earlier this morning with Cannon Rush, and it went completely terrible. So I was actually really curious to see how more experienced Cannon Rusher will approach this. So as you can see, so far gas was stolen. This is quite big, because then Zerg can't really build many Ravagers for free. Another thing that was finish the hatch, which is a little bit surprising to me as well. But at the same time, right now, this hatch dies, but it also made sure that there is no second gate going up for portals, for example. There is, but yeah, it wasn't really worth it, of course, because you still, if you finish the hatch here, you cannot have a hatchery across the map, because you simply do not have enough resources. I think that's the math, and like this second gate being delayed, I'm not quite sure it's that efficient. Zeld goes down, a bit unfortunate. I think this is a mistake on Baonan's part. We have a second gateway, we have a Stalker, so this is exactly the moment when the Stalker buff will be very handy, right? Because 3 seconds on every single Stalker, it's quite big, especially if your opponent is trying to bust you early on, if your warp gate is finished. Talking about tech, there is a Violet Council. I believe this is the main tech that Bonan uses when he does his Cannon Rushes, because I think once you can contain Zerg like this, and if you can just get a good Stalker ball, at some point it just becomes very hard for Zerg to do anything to your Blink Stalkers, right? Because you can just continuously blink them up, blink them back. You can kill the Ravagers, and also if you... Okay, at least that's how I see it, okay? Like, let's imagine Zerg has a hatchery somewhere, and then, as long as he doesn't break this, it will be very hard to set up a proper surround with a big amount of links, because... And then Stalkers are actually very good, right? If they can be caught. What else? I think it's quite cute that the laser is getting a second hatchery. I think the idea behind this is that his gas was blocked, right? So he was like, okay, if my gas is blocked, I'll try something else. And in this case, he's trying to bust this Stalker cannon battery wall with Ravagers and many links. And of course, as you can see, even with macro hatch, it's still not that easy to spend all of the resources. Imagine if he wouldn't build it, right? So if you want to make many Zerglings on one base, I guess you need a second hatchery. This is the story of today. Of course, it would be much better to have this hatchery elsewhere, maybe on like here once again, somewhere around the map, maybe even here, because I think if you can put some pressure onto Protoss, it's very beneficial for you, because then Protoss has to build more cannons, more batteries. Actually, this is exactly what is going on right now. I guess Bonan was a bit scared that something is happening, but he's still trying to prevent this place from being busted. to getting even more cannons. And I think this is a moment of truth. Let's see. To be honest, I think it does look very good for Bonan, because this just doesn't seem so good. Look at how many batteries there are, how many cannons there are, but Lynx are doing a very good job at clearing these cannons. Very nice bios. Stalker goes down, cannon also goes down. I think it's extremely important to use your bios correctly in these situations, because as you can see in the end, it's only 3 Ravagers left, only a couple of Queens left, but this is exactly amount of units we need to finish this game in your favor. Yeah, Shota was in the observers, and he was also very surprised it went well for the Red Zerg here. And at this point, I believe, even with Blink finishing, there is just not enough Stalkers to do anything. And once the contain is broken, there's really nothing Protoss can do. So I think it is fair to say that this game is quite lost for Protoss. Especially look at this Zergling count buys. Zerglings are real kings when it comes to like one base scenarios. They're just so quick, and if you have no static defenses to go back to, they're just dominating the whole map, especially with the double hatchery on one base. That's more than enough. So yeah, if you guys want, you can just scroll through this replay quickly. I found it a little bit funny that Bonan was trying to go for +1 on charge and Archons. Yes, Storm and recharge. Not quite working like this. Also another fun thing. You can actually, like, look at this ledge here. Like, you can, if you play Blink in PvT or PvP, you can just boom, Blink on top of the main base from here, from the 4th. That's quite impressive. I'm not sure if I ever seen that. And yeah, this game is over. Let's see the next one. The next map is El Dorado. Pretty similar build order. In fact, exactly the same build order. Bonan goes for a gateway, goes for a cannon. I think the gateway is a bit misplaced. The idea here is to put the gateway 1 hex higher, so you can block the entrance for a drone with your probe and hold position, because you can't quite mineral walk, right? There is no mineral here to do that, so you can't really get in, so you can delay your cannon by a little bit, which is obviously very good for those. But anyway, wasn't punished for that, so in the end it doesn't matter in the slightest. First cannon finishes up. And what's the response here? I guess the response here gonna be a bit different. I don't think we're gonna see that second hatchery for Lynx, because this time it's actually double gas. Also, Bonan didn't manage to steal any of the gases for Zerg. I think, generally speaking, if you're cannon rushing, it's always good. The second hatchery is actually finished. Not sure if it's a good solution. Probably not. Not good idea, because you kind of always want to be across the map with this hatchery. First of all, because like this hatchery gonna die anyway, and second reason is because if hatchery is here, let's say, or like anywhere, Protoss has to respect it, even if you don't use it at all. And this hatchery you don't have to respect because it just dies. So I think this is just a mistake on a laser's part. Spine goes up. I guess the spine is probably built to deal with a zealot, if there is a zealot, but Bonan is actually not going for a zealot. When I was trying this build order, I was getting 1 or even 2 zealots sometimes, but I can get behind it why he's not getting a single one, because then you kinda limit your mineral count, right? And you can't really get cannons and batteries as early as you would like them to have them. Also, second gate is probably a little bit earlier. Okay, hatchery goes down. There is a little bit of creep, so creep actually helped this spine going up. We also have a stalker, but I can't believe this is a nice position for a laser to be in, because it's so hard to get any units here, right? Like, you have to maneuver around the line of cannons. But 4 Ravagers are actually downside now, so it might be still good enough. Let's see. Because there is absolutely not a single cannon that helps the stalker fighting with these Ravagers. We also really need batteries to finish up. Otherwise, there is absolutely nothing going Bonan's way in this area. One of the gateways is almost dead. I I don't think it will be able to finish this Stalker. Nice balance, by the way. Look at this. This is what I was talking about. Hitting 2 gateways at the same time. This is exactly what you are looking for. Second gateway goes up again. And yeah, no warp, no... That's quite interesting. Or maybe warp was actually finished. I'm not quite sure. We're gonna see it a bit later. A bust is finally happening, but actually we got 4 Stalkers, a nice focus fire on these Ravagers. Roaches go down as well. We have another Stalker popping out. Okay, the gateway is done, so right now it actually will be a very big power spike for Bonan, because he will be able to not only finish his Stalker from the gateway, he also will be able to warp a Stalker instantly. And I think it will be just enough to hold this. It sounds a little bit weird, I know, when you say hold against about Cannon Rush, but about something that is against Cannon Rush, because you think that you want to hold the Cannon Rush, but in this case, for Bonan, a laser is in a weird way leading him, right? Because if this doesn't work, it's actually over, and it is indeed over. Okay, very interesting. I think the mistake for a laser was that he finished his hatchery, and it didn't quite yielded him enough. Oh, Piercer is the next map. Another hole. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. You see this prop is holding this position, so you can actually delay your cannon a little bit. You can get a gas before the cannon. And now actually, because Bonan sees that a laser didn't pull a single drone pretty much, he actually goes for a very greedy cannon here. This has to be good for Bonan. I don't believe it can be bad for him, because these drones are not doing anything, and at the same time, like, what do you really achieve as a Zerg player here when you cancel this cannon? Because Protoss still got one behind his gateway. This is absolutely impossible for Zerg player to break this. Of course, another cannon goes down, so I guess this is nice, but once again, Zerglings are not quite mining. 3 spines are on the way, but as we all know, okay, maybe not all, but I know, because I used to cannon rush a little bit, that spines are much worse than cannons in these situations, because cannons are just stronger and they also build faster, I believe. So, as long as this cannon finishes and it reaches a hatchery, I think it should be good enough. It was very sloppy by Bonan, by the way, that he lost both of his probes and now he has not a single probe across the map. So this is gonna be everything he has. By the way, this time he goes for zealots because, yeah, of course you want zealots if you actually need them to hold your cannon position against the spines. Raising 2 zealots into a spine crawler, I'm not quite sure. I don't think it was a good call, because do you really care about these spines being up? Like, do they really do much? Like, look how poor Zerg is, right? He lost a bunch of drones. Like, he lost 6 drones. He lost 3 or 4 drones in spines, right? So, in the end, Zerg doesn't even have money for Queen. So, even when once the hatchery goes down, there is no cryptum or anything. So, the spines are not that useful. But, of course, it's very hard to judge in game. 4 links managed to break in. There is a zealot. It's probably gonna be quite interesting. Okay, managed to kill this zealot down. Actually, if Zerg is careful enough and doesn't run into this cannon, I think these Zerglings can be so annoying to deal with, because there won't be ever any units on the main base. So as long as these Zerglings are just carefully moved and they don't run here, I think it's pretty much impossible to kill them. So let's see what's happening here. Couple of batteries, a Stalker, no second gateway yet, and a laser got his Ravagers out. He is mining the full base, so his economy is quite healthy. This is nice. So far, these Zerglings only managed to get 1 kill for 2. Okay, maybe they will be able to get a little bit more, especially since there is an attack coming. This is a very good move by a laser. Like, you might say that, okay, Bonan is not reacting, but it's very hard to react when you also have to deal with this. So now 3, 4 probes go down. maybe a fifth one gonna drop as well. Bonan reacts, but a laser also reacts, and wow, this is quite impressive. Okay, this Zergling has 0 drones, but this one has 7 kills, so it means that this Zergling single-handedly, okay, with the help of his brother, killed 6 probes and 1 pellet maybe? I don't know. It's quite cool. Okay, what do we have here? Here we have a couple of batteries. So in this case, when the batteries are in front like this and they're gonna build them down or try to build them down, this is obviously a buff for them because they have 100 hit points more. But to be honest, every time I look at the like static defenses or like this kind of cannon rushes, usually your batteries down is not the problem. The problem is when Zerg just kind of piles down your cannons, hits your stalkers, and you just run out of energy. Because in case you forgot, battery actually spawns with only 50 energy outside of Nexus range. So in this case, I think it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. I think it rarely is a big deal. So it might be a bit different if you talk about some kind of void pushes against Terran perhaps, but once again, I'm not exactly sure if it's that bad. Maybe this is something that we should investigate as well. So, well, it is also down, but at this point, Bonan is not even starting his blink because at this point, it's so important to just make sure this push of Zerg with Zerglings and Ravagers doesn't do anything. I believe the Zerglings finally went down. 9 probe kills total. Quite interesting for a one-base game to see this number there. Very nice set of bios. So there is not a single cannon in front up, only the one on the back. And it becomes harder and harder for Bonan to do anything because, as you can see, there is just nothing to went back to, right? Like we want to have some cannons to kite your opponent to, you want to have some batteries to heal your stalkers up, but all the batteries are dead or drained completely, so it becomes a little bit annoying. And also this spine, it kind of works like, I mean, it's not kind of, it actually works like their cannon, right? Because it kind of stays there, and every time Protoss tries to get some damage done on the Roaches and Ravagers, this this spine makes sure there is a safe space for these Ravagers to go back to, like this. Like sometimes you have to morph a lot of Ravagers, so this is exactly the moment when the spine comes in handy. A little bit annoying that the Ravagers block the pathing, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be enough for Bonan to hold, especially since he's getting a second Twilight, so he's probably a bit... he's not expecting much, let's put it this way. From this, yeah, the game is just over. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really know if this patch has anything to do with how the cannon rush works. And the very last game we're gonna watch today is happening on Amigdala LC. The drone sneaked in, but there is 2 probes, so I'm not sure if it will be possible to do anything with it. Cannon goes down, and I think this is probably already enough. I don't think you can attack it with enough drones. Maybe you could, because what you have to do, in case if you're wondering if there are any special numbers around that, you really want to have at least 3 drones hitting the cannon, and then you will be able to cancel it before it goes up. So I guess you can kind of use this video as a guide how to counter cannon rush. You can maybe copy some of the responses that a laser is going for. Very quick roach for him, double gas, and the drone goes across the map. To be honest, in this game I have no complaint about what a laser is doing, because he didn't finish his hatchery, so now he can actually proxy his hatchery instead of losing it to cannons. And what else? Yeah, I guess it was not that nice that he lost a worker, but Bonan also lost a worker. I think it's good enough. It's probably not bad. More cannons. Okay. Changed his mind. No, he didn't. Cyber. Gate. Yeah, you see, this is what I was talking about. I believe if Zerg actually finishes the hatchery, you don't quite have enough space to build this gateway. So that's why it's usually a bit delayed. But in this case, we can get this gateway sooner. Second Stalkers is on the way. The problem is we don't have a second gas, right? And we have warp gate researching. So in the end, I'm not sure if there is enough gas at this point. Yeah, as you can see, yeah, we start the second Stalker, but we can't really chrono it. We have 100 energy. So in the end, if the build order is very tight, like in this game, I'm not even sure if 3-second Stalker build time reduction had any consequences on that. Like really, I think it's pretty much the same. So the only thing that we are looking at is shield battery change. And in this case, I guess it became a little bit like, okay, it's not fair to say that Stalker is completely irrelevant. Of course it's relevant to some degree, but in the long run, I thought it would be much more impactful than that, because in this case we just don't have enough money. Actually, I really like the addition of the Adept, because what you can do with Adept, you can actually see what your opponent is doing, right? Like you can show it forward, you can see if opponent going for a layer, for example, or if opponent going for a strong Zergling Ravager bust or anything like that. So this is a very cool addition. Simultaneously, there is a Link counter-attack, but because of the warp gate, we can warp one extra Stalker on the main base. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I'm not sure if Boanan realized that there is a proxy base. Like, if you look at the vision, yeah, he doesn't see it, and this could be just some random Zerglings from the start of the game, although I'm not quite sure, because there was always cannons, right? So it feels like Boanan is not respecting this threat at all. Maybe he knows something that I do not know, and he probably does, to be honest, because yeah, he's a very experienced cannon rusher. But it does feel like he doesn't respect this enough, because imagine if Hatcher was producing slightly more Ravagers. I guess you see the Ravager count with your file, with your Adept, so you can kind of see what is going on and how many Ravagers there are. So maybe he could kind of approximate the count, and then it's fine. Then it makes sense. But right now, as far as I can see, Laser is actually trying to... Actually, I'm so curious what this is supposed to mean. Why would you put a thing there? Okay, finally, a Laser is trying to bust through this cannon wall. A lot of Zerglings, but it's not enough. Also, you have 3 Adepts, so Adepts really help with these Zerglings. Cannons are still going strong. They have no energy anymore, but still, many Stalkers, still 3 Adepts left, so no Links, 3 Ravagers, only 2 Queens. And I think it's not quite enough. I think finally Boanan managed to hold this, and he managed to win this game, I think. Or at least it put him in significant lead. I think what went wrong for Laser in this game is this hatchery being a little bit inactive, as I was saying. So maybe if he would force a little bit more response on this location, right? Because if you see even a single Ravager, right, with an Overlord, you can kinda do so much damage with this Ravager because of the range, right? So as a Protoss, you really have to respect it. And then if once the money are spent here, you can go from this base with Ravagers and Links and attack into this position. So I think this is exactly what went wrong. But generally, if you want to summarize this, I want to say that I think not much changed with Cannon Rush, and it probably is not going to be IMBA. So Zerg players, you should be happy.